Good morning, Balance Nation. Well, today I'm going to talk to you about something that is of um, very common concern with a lot of folks, and I'm going to tell you a very interesting thing little story that prompted my you know inspiration to do this little thing. So we're going to get into Hashimoto's, thyroid, lemon water fix, and fatigue. So let's see what we can get into today. Okay, guys. So here's the deal. Um, as you guys all know in Balance Nation, you guys are always asking my opinion about certain things, and of course, I have my eye on the ball when it comes to all the noise and confusion in the info space. Various folks who have different opinions on things, and I've shared with you in the past. One of the things that I've kind of coined a phrase called the niche pickers. And so, just as a recap, if you haven't heard me talk about that before, picking is the technique of separating yourself from everybody else out there in a saturated market, particularly in the health and wellness space. So, like for instance, I'm in the health and wellness space. Of course, I'm a physician. I've been practicing for over a quarter century. Blah blah blah. But the thing is that the info space is largely info based and entertainment based. Okay, like I've said in the past, we're all trying to vie for your attention and ultimately your dollars. That's really what it is. So I've been I'm pretty critical of a lot of people, but that's just my brand, right? I like a little controversy. I like to cause people to critically think about things that other people are saying, myself included. And I always say, don't believe me, do your research. And then ultimately, you have to filter that through the balance protocol's principal tenet of Q square M square. So qualify, quantify, measure, and monitor. So you always have to have some objective data to go along with your subjective hypothesis, right? So that's the standard that I submit myself to and other people. But the thing about this is that what ends up happening is in our desire to be free from various clinical complaints, particularly those of a chronic nature, which is relatively defined by something that's been bothering you for a year or more. Okay. What's going to happen is as you know, you've probably done this before. You want to go and you want to say, like, if you have fatigue, you're going to go type, you're going to Google, Bing, or Yahoo, or whatever you do, fatigue, or supplements for fatigue, or whatever it might be. So you tend to do that. Or you'll go onto Instagram and you'll type in hashtag fatigue. So this is where we all connect on the info space. And so of course everybody wants to, provide their own form of crazy, myself included. Mine is called balance protocol. But the upshot is that along with that comes the desire to be successful within your space. And in order to do that, the marketing coaches out there, the digital marketers that are tasked with producing success for us and to teach us as clinicians to do these things, want us to do something called pick a niche or a niche, however you want to call it. I call it a niche because I'm Southern, right? We don't go niche like the foyer. No, it's a foyer. Anyways, I still wash my clothes. I don't wash them. Anyways, so the upshot is that that's so that way they can narrow it down to basically what they call is up your ace. So they want to stick it up your ace. So that's called authority, celebrity, and expertise, ACE. So these are the things because I've been, like I said, I've been training clinicians for over a decade. I've been working with patients for 26 years, and I've kind of been behind the scenes. I never really have had to go into the info space, and been extremely successful with that. But it's time to expand the movement, and in order to do that, you seek assistance on how to do that. Why go and learn it? When you can consult with some of the best out there, which I did, and a lot of them were actually my patients. So they're like, well, doc, here's what you got to do. You got to pick a niche. You just can't be all things to all people. And I go, but that's what Balance Protocol is. It's a framework. It encompasses everything. It's not just one particular thing like gut health, right? So everybody's in the gut space. And then it's like, well, you need to get into, you need to be a thyroid. But if you really want to super niche down, you got to go Hashimoto's thyroid, right? And then you got to pick like, then if it's in gut health, you want to be the gluten person. You're going to be, everything is gluten. So you just crank out content, everything related to that niche. In other words, you basically pigeonhole everybody into that. So if I was in the gut space and super niche down into lectins, like say Gundry is, and I want to blame everything on lectins, I'm going to say, oh, you have fatigue, you got lectins. You have insomnia, lectins, right? If you have erectile dysfunction, oh, it's lectins, right? If you have psoriasis, it's lectins. And insomnia, hair loss, all the things that we don't all want, right? But then if I'm in the keto space, well, I'm gonna say, hey, well, if you want to combat your fatigue, you got to go keto. If you got insomnia, well, you got to go keto. If you have gut problems, guess what? You got to go keto. So that's how that works out there. Unfortunately, I don't do any of that. My thing is I don't know. We need to figure it out. We have to get into take a deep dive into your case and look at all four factors of the environment, your lifestyle, your mindset, and your nutrition. Because hell, maybe I need to get into the mindset space or the meditation niche and make everything about meditation. If you're fatigued, you need to meditate. If you have insomnia, you need to meditate. See how that works? Well, unfortunately, it's all of it. It's not just one thing, it's all of it. So what ends up happening is you guys are left to your own demise by those mechanisms. I just want to let you know that. So the thing is advertising and marketing is largely designed to keep people uninformed and to make irrational decisions. This is why, like when you see in advertisements and stuff like that, like say for an insurance company, right? Like let's pick on Progressive, right? And the thing is that it's entertainment, right? And Geico, they have the little gecko. It's all about entertainment. They're not really saying, hey, listen, because if you've ever been into economics class, it's about presenting information to the market and letting people make an informed decision. But no one does that. They don't go just say, hey, we're Progressive, we offer this insurance, and these are the features and these are the benefits. Pick us. No, it's like, hey, listen, you can save 10% by 10 minutes. And then they've got, the price checker tool, and all these little skits and things of that nature, right? So that's what the insurance business does. It's the same thing like in the pharmaceutical industry. They put in a tremendous amount of marketing into these ads for drugs, right? And they set them to music, right? Um, and then there's people doing things, right? And so they get to market directly to you for those kind of things. So here's where I'm going with all this. Those same things translate into the health and wellness space. And I don't know that these people are, have malice in their heart. I don't know. I'm just going on the principle of what I do, and I just offer my pure opinion on these things. So one of the things that kind of came across my feed in Instagram prior to being blocked by the individual that I'm going to just kind of give you an example today, because I made a comment. Was this. So let's take a look at this particular idea here, because I think it's really warrants a perfect example of what happens. Because you guys, Balance Nation, are amazing. You ask your questions. I do my best to service you guys and answer these kind of things, all because that's what I'm doing, right? I'm wanting to build they call out there in the digital marketing space, know, like, and trust. I want you to know and like and trust. But the difference for me is I don't have a niche. I'm not a niche picker. And what I'd rather do is empower you guys with encouragement to critically think and to make decisions based upon things that are not very dogmatically obtuse, as I'm famous for saying. Okay, so let's say you have a situation where most of us have experienced something. We'll call it fatigue. Fatigue is the go-to ICD-10 code. That's a diagnosis code to get labs funded by insurance or to do things of that nature, because fatigue, we really have no uniform measure of it. It's completely subjective, right? Doesn't pass the Dr. Beck coma test, right? I've never seen somebody in a coma who was fatigued. right? So it's in the brain. It's an interpretation of what your energy level is, or abundance, or availability. But fatigue has many paths. You see what I'm saying? So the key is to differentiate, why are you having your fatigue? And it could be a whole host of things. As per Balance Protocol's 2358 framework, the 5 stands for the 5 causes. So any imbalance or disease, if you will, fatigue is really not a disease, even though it has a disease code, is only one of 5 things: nutrient deficiencies, stressors, microbes, allergens, or toxins. And if you want to learn more about that, then of course all you're going to have to do is head over to programs.balanceprotocol.com. Okay, see, this is my form of marketing, right? Cool little lower third. So the thing is in programs.balanceprotocol.com, you can do the free Balance Protocol Prime course, where I really break down what Balance Protocol is, its framework, its philosophy, its principles and tenets, and things like that. Okay, so of the 2358, the 5 stands for that. All right, so here's the deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of show you. This was the post, okay? So I was flipping through Instagram and came across this little post here, by a pharmacist, Isabel Wentz, right? And the thing is that for me, it comes down to a situation where, I'm not looking to create drama within the space. We're all there, but the thing is that I'm a very poignant and to the point texter, or a person who will just make a particular statement. And I can't show it to you, but I'm just gonna make sure I quoted myself. So anyways, when I saw this, I read through it and I instantly knew it was the equivalent of a meme that's just designed to kind of elicit some kind of um, you know talking point and traffic and engagement. So I basically said, after I read this, my reply was, such a pathetic and preposterous claim, because it is. And so here's what it is: the simple fix for thyroid fatigue. So hypothyroidism, okay, which isn't really Hashimoto's, by the way. Um, Low stomach acid is thyroid fatigue. So basically, this thing that was said is, your doctor told you that taking thyroid medications would help your energy, but you woke up late again this morning feeling exhausted despite having big goals for the day. You need an endless amount of caffeine to get you through the day, and end up feeling exhausted, stressed, and guilty of low, unproductive you on most days. This is not your fault. And I used to feel this way too, until I learned about the thyroid and low stomach acid connection. Low stomach acid means more of your energy is consumed every time you eat something, as the body needs to work harder to digest. Luckily, there are some real simple things you can do today to support the production of stomach acid. Starting out your day with hot lemon water is one of my favorite simple fixes for thyroid fatigue. It's a simple remedy worth trying. Okay. All right. So a couple of things. Number one, the thing about this is this is not true. It's a preposterous claim. Okay. And here's the reason why. If you have fatigue, you can't just in all integrity say that it's low stomach acid. Okay, yes, do people have low stomach acid out there? Sure, but you have to get to the reasons as to why, not just the fixes. Okay, I wish it was as simple as squeezing some lemon. I love lemons. Hell, I live in Central Florida. Okay, I'm in the citrus capital of the world. Okay, but by Balance Protocol principles and tenets, every single thing that is healthy for one person can absolutely be poison for another. Okay, something that can help an individual benefit can be a detriment to another person. It is that simple, including lemons. Matter of fact, I have seen countless people who have immunological negative reactions to lemon. So here's my point. The point is that when we have memes like this, people get their information from somebody that they know, like, and trust, that doesn't give you any differentiation of you from everybody else. There's no way to determine if these things were. It's something to try. And then, of course, the next thing will be, we'll try this and try that, and you'll try this and you'll try that. And so you're bouncing all around. So motivated as hell but lack direction. I call it the fly trapped in the screen effect. Okay, okay, you can have all the motivation in the world, but if you lack direction, you can't get out. Okay, so the bottom line here is that it is a preposterous claim, and this is what confuses people. So the interesting thing about it is that if you look at some of the statements that people said over here, right? It was that, and then somebody asked about, does apple cider vinegar work as well? And of course, Isabel Wentz says yes. Well, that's not true either. Okay, I'm going to get to that in just a second. Just as well, how do you recommend taking ACV? Thank you so much, right? Okay, wish I could do this, but I'm highly allergic to all citrus. Well, imagine that. Okay, so my point is, I get these are just recommendations. This was not a diagnosis and a recommendation. But people don't oftentimes hear that. And oftentimes ill reactions they go asymptomatic. Okay, so you got to be careful. All right, but that's just one example. Okay, so let's keep going here. So the other thing is some people like ACV. Okay, this person says, I get sores on my tongue from citrus. What else can I do? Okay, apple cider vinegar. Okay, I tested positive for H. pylori and blastocystis, blah, 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 bloating, whatever. Can't digest. There's all these kind of things, right? So here's my point. Any other option if citrus gives you migraines? So look at all the people that this is causing problems with. You see how that works? That's my whole thing. So if ever there's an adverse reaction, it is, the reply is apple cider vinegar. Okay. Um, keep going here. Boom. Okay. So anyways, then everybody else chimes in with their other kind of fun stuff. I'm allergic to lemons. What is a good alternative? Apple cider vinegar, right? So, okay. So let me get into this for you when it comes to some science, all right? So first of all, there's a false presupposition going on here that people have who have hypothyroidism by default have low stomach acid. That's not true. How do I know? Countless Heidelberg tests, okay? The bottom line is it's a misnomer. So you can't just go hypothyroid. All of them have low stomach acid. So that's a preposterous and pathetic claim. So the thing about it is that to test stomach acidity levels is a little daunting. No one wants to stick the meter down their throat on the end of a tube, right, and then do a little computer and see what your levels are. There is a simple test that is not hugely accurate, but it's the baking soda test, where you're basically taking a measured dose, about a half a teaspoon of baking soda on an empty stomach, and seeing how quickly you belch, because, of course, sodium bicarbonate is a base. It's alkaline, stomach is acid. You put that in there, and it should have a reaction, and you should have a nice like that induced one for you in about less than 60 seconds. If it takes you longer than a minute or two to get that belch, we can kind of postulate that there's the stomach acidity is on the lower side. But here's the thing though, drinking an acid like lemon juice or apple cider vinegar does not correct low stomach acidity. It puts acidity into the stomach temporarily. But here's the difference where all the nutritional world misses. Remember, per Balance Protocol, we look at things that are food as not you. Everything not you must be turned into you. In order to turn into you, the body has to work through a significant amount of electrochemistry in order to do that. Okay? Little caveat. I'm not saying that lemon water is necessarily harmful. What I'm saying is it's not benign, and you shouldn't go after it just based upon some false presupposition that hypothyroidism is low stomach acid and so forth, okay? The vast majority of people who I have found clinically who have low stomach acidity, it's due to lack of liver energy, okay? So if the liver's production of bile comes into play, okay, that takes a little bit more of a deep understanding. But here's the thing. Remember, we chew our food mechanically to break it down and put a lot of enzymes and signaling molecules through our spit. We now swallow that down in the stomach, and now there's a whole nother chemistry that is electrical in nature. And then the body will use the acidity that we produce in response to the food we're putting in there to act upon certain things, like to denature protein and to leach minerals from the food. But until that mass leaves the stomach and goes into the small intestine, and then now is shifted by pancreatic secretions and gallbladder secretions that are very alkaline. So we go from acid to alkaline. Why do we do that? Because with batteries, there always has to be that resistance. Okay, you have to have that shifting of the electrochemistry in order to what I call tune or harmonize things that are not you, food, into you, so that way the body can bring them in. It's not a matter of just pH. So where am I going with this? The upshot is this: you're not going to combat fatigue by drinking lemon water. You're not going to reverse Hashimoto's or thyroid health with lemon water. Okay. You're not going to do it with apple cider vinegar either. Okay. And here's the difference between lemon and vinegar. Okay. Lemons are citric acids, and beta hydroxy. There's a bunch of different acids in there. And then ACV is acetic acid. Consuming lemons, which has a profile of various compounds and molecules in it. Don't forget, there's things like pectin, and there's fiber, and there's all kinds of things in there. It's not just acid. It's not a pure citric acid. If you consume that, it will shift you more anionic, or more towards the pH of alkalinity. If you consume apple cider vinegar, you're going to shift your pH more cationic, or more towards an acidic pH. Okay? I know it's odd, but that's the way it works. There are two different acids that have a net different effect on your electrochemistry, as is indicated by your pH. Okay? So, why do some people have a problem with one or the other? Well, if you're overly anionic and you consume an anionic shifting substance like lemons, it's going to make you feel worse. But people say, well, I did ACV and I felt better. Well, of course. Just the opposite. If you're overly acidic and you consume ACV, you can have some problems. But then you do lemon water, you go, oh my God, it was the greatest thing ever. It's like liquid sunshine. Okay, so what does that prove? It proves that you are a category of one with a unique situation. Now, you see all this I've been talking about here for the last 20 minutes? I can't put that into an Instagram post. Hell, I'm already double the amount of time that the marketers tell me to make videos. Keep your YouTube videos to 7-10 minutes max. Well, you see how I had to give you the education and to teach you the premise and give you the context of where I'm coming from? It's difficult. So in the marketing space, it's a challenge, guys, right? So, I've got quite a bit of you guys watching, and I love the thumbs up, and I only got one heart. That's it. That's okay. The upshot is that it really comes down to it. Now, I mentioned that. I gave a little brief of that onto Isabel Wentz's Instagram, and then, of course, all of a sudden, on my calendar, there was a booking for a business development call. Like, I've never met her. I don't know her. But then I was like, okay, great. I'd love to talk to her about it, because, I want to, get people out of their comfort zone and get them thinking about stuff, because you see these different folks, and, it's one of those kind of deals where, I'm more than willing to, share where I'm coming from and perspective, and even though I might, give a pretty direct recommendation. But the thing about that is that appointment got canceled. Then I went and go back to make another comment on Instagram, and I got blocked. So evidently she didn't like it, and I get that. I'm somewhat controversial and challenging and that kind of fun stuff. But that's just the way I got, right? But here's what I wanted to show you, the trouble with that, because when you have postings, this is what I find is the process. I want to let you guys know what you're kind of up against, right? So you can go and you can click on that, all right? And so then, here is Isabel's, website. You can go check it out because she's the thyroid pharmacist. That's her niche, is thyroid. And so then here's 11 strategies to overcome Hashimoto's fatigue. Okay, so the importance of normal TSH, right? Subclinical stuff. That's actually some good things. And she does ask people to test your thyroid panel, right? Taking a look at the difference between T3 and reverse T3. All that's good and dandy. Okay, so you get a lot of that kind of fun stuff. So I like a little Q square and square going on. But then here's it. Is anemia stealing? Well, absolutely. It could be. But here's the problem. In addition to testing hemoglobin, I recommend testing ferritin, B12, and folate. But if you click on these, okay, so it takes you to some tests. So I like that. So a big thing that's going on when it comes to that, okay? But what ends up happening is you always have to look for the monetization. And that is like here, okay? B12 supplementation to be highly helpful for my clients, okay? But here's the thing. Most of you guys won't Q square M square. It's been my experience. And if that's not you, that's okay. So that's on you, not on the person who's making these recommendations, but it's always going to come down to a supplement. So you go here and you click on this, and then boom, lo and behold, boom, you can go and buy some B12, okay? And then the other thing is then, okay, now ferritin, right? But then it's like, okay, oh, boom. Well, then now you need to take some ferritin. You need to take some iron, which you should never do, by the way. Never take oral iron. You don't need to do it, okay? Anemias and things like that are not caused by low iron. It's bad electrochemistry, and iron is governed by copper. You're looking in the wrong place. So one more time, do not orally supplement iron tablets or things in no context, in any way, shape, or form. Okay. All right. So the other thing is then it's like, okay, well then maybe here's some thorn, iron bisglycinate. All right. Oh, kablam. Right. So again, this is the kind of thing how it is. And then of course, folate, then it's the MTHFR narrative, right? Now, yeah, you got to discover your food sensitivities. That's another good point. Totally get it. So I'm sure that's a good thing. Balance your blood sugar. So here's the deal, right? So and then enhance optimization of digestion. Now, this was interesting because lemon was the suggested thing, which doesn't cost you anything, even though it's out of context. But then, of course, you can go to and you can take, her private label betaine with pepsin. Now, that is a better way to go. Now, I'm actually kind of surprised that, it wasn't a pitch to that, because that is a therapeutic intervention. Betaine and pepsin is entirely different than lemon or ACV. All right. So here's the moral of the story. Okay. The moral of the story is that it's convoluted. It's a difficult process. And the upshot is that you have to find out for you what is causing your fatigue, not just you have low thyroid. If there's one thing that is so bastardized out there, it is the thyroid thing. Of course your thyroid is low, because your thyroid is a byproduct of your other system's biology. It wants to ramp it down. Sometimes it needs to ramp it up. It doesn't necessarily mean that we now need to boost it or to suppress it. You have to figure out and postulate why. What are some of the reasons why? Well, because how you breathe is off, your hydration levels and how the fluid mechanics in your body is off, which has to do with electrolytes and stuff like that. Light, your circadian rhythm, sound, vibration, noise, decibels, all kinds of frequencies out there, EMF, right? Electromagnetic fields, body voltage, aberrations, magnetic fields, and of course food, if you're not correctly eating for your metabolic status as determined by deeper levels. So here you can go and you can have Hashimoto's, but they don't tell you why. And then when you get into rootology or different things like that or whatever, they're still treating the thyroid. Then they'll tip into other little areas like, oh, it's gut. Oh, oh, it's some liver. Oh, it's food stuff. So I get that. But the hook is the niche. But here's the deal, to kind of give the outs to these folks. As clinicians, it's difficult for us to give you all the answers in blogs and in videos. Okay, so I want to let you know that you're not going to get all the solutions you need to resolve complex chronic conditions through YouTube videos, blogs, or pills, potions, and powders, much less gadgets and gizmos. Okay, dongles and dangles, some of my things, right? What you have to do is what? First of all, live life in balance. How do you live life in balance? Learn balance protocol. It is a protocol, right? It is a method of doing the right thing, but in the right order. Okay, and there's a hierarchy to things, and setting the foundation in air, water, light, sound, EMF, and food. Then you move on to the GI. Then you move on to mindset and brain health and activity and stuff like that. Then you move on to the immune system and inflammatory pathways. You can't just say, I have Hashimoto's, I have inflammation. And therefore, if I have inflammation, I need to take turmeric. I need to take some fish oils. I need to take some, some wobenzyme for inflammation. Well, there's all kinds of inflammations. You could be having inflammation because you're drinking warm lemon water every morning. You could have inflammation because you're drinking apple cider vinegar and you don't know your deal. Okay? All right. So that's the moral of the story. That's today's little inspirational thing of what it is. I hope this makes sense to you guys. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the chats so you guys can see. So I can see what you guys are saying about this kind of fun stuff. All right. Paul says, good morning. Clarissa, good morning. What's up, Furman? Chaz Berry. That guy, man, just a new friend of mine. He's so awesome and charming. Hey, ladies, if you're looking for a single, gentleman, we'll shot for you, Chaz. Monty, you're absolutely absolutely correct, Monty. Monty says that truth creates drama for those spreading lies. Well, and I don't believe these people are lying on purpose. Okay, they're lying by virtue of marketing. Okay, and niche picking. All right, so they're not bad people. It's just that it's a byproduct, of the thing. So it's what's called a tragedy of the commons. If you want to look up something, it's like a look up tragedy of the commons. It's kind of like I always say all smokers are litter bugs. I've never met a morally superior, smoker because they'll flick a butt. You pull up to the traffic lights and see all the cigarette butts and like, well, there's a bunch of cigarette butts, so I might as well go ahead and throw my butt there, right? And Nalia says has patients who have she's a practitioner, a lovely practitioner. I have patients who have been told by their practitioners that they had still low stomach acid and their GI doc did the Heidelberg test. It was negative. They were producing enough stomach acid. Those were my clinical experience. That is my clinical experience too, right? And Angela, you have a doc recommending iron for anemia caused by a ruptured hemorrhagic cyst. Okay, ladies, you have a very interesting thing, and I think we all know, right? Is that you have blood loss. The guys don't. All right. But here's the thing. Iron is ubiquitous, man. It is in grains. It is in fruits. It's in vegetables. It's in meats. It's everywhere. Totally everywhere. Okay. Matter of fact, the whole thing with, oh man, I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to get into the citric acid cycle and some of the things and show you where all this iron comes into play for what the body needs. The mitochondriacs out there. Anyways, so the upshot is this. I get it. When your gas tank is empty, you need more gas, right? If your iron levels are low, you should, boom, add it in there. If your stomach acid is presupposedly low, take stomach acid. Man, wouldn't that be nice? I call that, it reminds me of monkey acupuncture because, oh, you have shoulder pain? We're going to go and we're going to stick a needle here. We're going to needle. And I always tell the other acupuncturists that I try and say, do you remember, if you go back to the text, acupuncture needles used to be this big. Blam. And they never would blah, 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 stab the hell out of somebody. So I always say never underestimate the power of the single needle. Never underestimate the power of targeted nutritional therapeutics, okay? You can't just go and say, well, if this is empty, add more. I see that in the hormone realm too. Don't get me started on that. And in thyroid, oh, your thyroid's low? Here, take more hormone. Matter of fact, Synthroid is one of the top 3 medical prescriptions in the United States, if not in the world. So people and doctors are treating fatigue, insomnia, dry skin, constipation, and hair loss as thyroid. So they'll take a look and they say, oh, well, your TSH is above 2, so you do, and your total T4 is low. Anyways, the upshot is there some differentiation to really assess your thyroid. But guess what? Thyroid health and hormones doesn't come until key 7 of 8 in Balance Protocol. Why is that? Because your environmental inputs of air, water, light, sound, EMF, and food, GI, mindset, and community and connection, and all prayer and all the wonderful things that come in key number 3, immune system, structural, oxidative stress, individual. It's all before thyroid. It's all before hormones, right? So again, if you want to learn more about those order of operations for free, go to Balance Protocol Enviro program and you'll learn how I break that down. That's at programs.balanceprotocol.com. So vitamin C with steaks. There you go. Imagine that. Now, anyways, all right, guys, covered a lot of stuff. I'm trying not to make this an hour-long video. I just want to kind of give you an example of what you're up against in the noise and confusion, niche picking, health and wellness space, that the fixes are buy dietary supplements. No, you have to correct your environment, your lifestyle, your mindset, and your nutrition. If you want to know how to do those, you're going to have to Q square M square. Qualify, quantify, measure, and monitor through what? The context of your unique situation. Now, that's a beautiful marketing pitch. That's a great little thing. But you see how hard that is for me to write a damn blog or do an Instagram, much less a tweet on it? So, Balance Nation, I love you. I'm getting ready to go be on a podcast as a guest here pretty soon. And I'm starting a new podcast myself. It's the first time you hear it here. Matter of fact, this coming weekend, I'm going to PodFest 2020 here in Orlando. I'm really stoked about that. So that's the way we can start getting some more information and stuff out there so we can have the Balance Protocol movement go crazy. I need you guys' help on doing that. And as always, guys, live life in balance. And if you need to learn how to do it, programs.balanceprotocol.com is where you start. Keep your questions coming, Balance Nation. Love you with all my heart, and I appreciate you guys and all your support. And I'll catch you on the flip.